Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Top of the morning. What did I miss last night? I was so tired yesterday, man. I went to bed super early last night. I was gassed. Um, I was so gassed last night. I think I was in bed by like 7:30 or something. It's crazy. Z, what's going on, man? Good morning.
Good man. Good morning. It's actually nighttime here, but good morning to you guys.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're in the Philippines, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh my God, nighttime. Jeez. What time is it there?
It's 10:48 here. I
Oh,
think it's what time is it there? 7:48.
7:48. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're 3 hours, but nighttime. Yeah.
So when the games are going on, like, what time is it there for you? Like early morning, huh?
Yeah. It usually starts at 8, 9. So actually, I have school during that time. So when there's Warriors game, I find time to watch on my phone. And when there's timeouts, I actually look at your reactions, like your tweets,
Oh,
and I join along sometimes.
oh, that's
I
funny.
rant also. Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know how I would do it just living halfway across the world. You know what I'm saying? I probably couldn't do it.
Yeah, but last year I actually went to San Francisco. I actually watched the Christmas game,
Uh-huh.
and during my stay in the states, it, I found the difference between watching in the morning and nighttime, and so much more convenient watching during the nighttime. Like like me and my brother always wakes up early, especially if the game starts earlier,
Yeah,
just to watch just to watch Warriors games. That's how dedicated we are here.
that's interesting. That's really, really interesting.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
how often do you go to the States though?
Maybe once every 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
But this time it was our first time to watch the Warriors, because but we've been to we've watched other games like in Madison and in the Staples back then. But
Yeah.
it was really our Christmas gift to be able to watch Warriors the first time, and it was so sad because Curry wasn't able to play. Like when he got injured, I think it was the Pacers game. He got injured. Me and my brother, we were so pissed because you know how much we spent on the tickets, and he wasn't gonna play.
Yeah. That's
So
funny.
it kind of sucked. Yeah.
I remember the first time that happened to me. So I have like family in Toronto, right? So I
Yeah.
think it was around 2002, 2001, 2003, somewhere like that, right? I'm an old fart, so this was a while ago. So it was like Kobe Bryant. This is like prime Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, like Vince Carter,
Oh,
Allen.
number 8 jersey, Kobe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sheesh. Yeah.
So so I had a friend of mine that lived in Toronto, right? And I have like a bunch of family there too. So this dude comes around and he's like, "Yo, let's go to the Lakers and the Toronto game." You know what I'm saying? Vince versus Kobe. so so he
Yeah.
comes through or whatever, and it was like a little bit before Christmas. It wasn't on Christmas Day, so it was like maybe a few days before. And
Yep.
I'm ready like to see Vince and Kobe play. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, Vince DNPs, and I'm like, "Are
What
you
the hell?
kidding me, bro?" Like,
Was he injured?
I mean, I think back then he had like a jumper's knee type of situation.
Oh,
So
okay,
it was
okay.
like tendonitis basically. So he didn't play, bro. I never forgave him after that. You know what I'm saying? I was pissed. I never forgave him after that, man. I I was so heated after that. Um so now I just know better than to just buy the ticket last minute. Like last minute
Yeah.
is I just buy the ticket. I'm like, oh hell no.
But
So
what's crazy, I actually bought mine. Like I think it was October. We bought it October, and we were just hoping that Cur- anyone can get injured except Curry. And next thing you know, he's injured. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
That, that
Yeah,
that's just the worst, man. So that's
yeah,
why I like buy the tickets last minute, man. Absolute last minute.
yeah. But it was a Christmas game, so like we really needed to get the tickets because we were really planning to go to States that time, and yeah,
Yeah.
we really didn't want to do it last minute because does the price increase the closer the game gets? Don't they increase the price?
Not necessarily. Sometimes they get cheaper.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
What's up, Bert? Good morning.
Oh, I think he's in a call.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I was blending something. So before, yeah. So typically, what happens is that people list a price,
Yeah.
and sometimes, a lot of times, actually, they won't get the price that they want for it, and they're just trying to let the tickets go. You know what I'm saying? So they'll just eventually just let them go. You know.
Yeah, we were supposed to watch I think game 6 of the oh no game 5 of the NBA finals, but
Mhm.
I it was a long shot because I think it was coinciding with my graduation that time,
Yeah.
so we weren't really sure if we can make it on time, and the tickets from the Philippines to the States were really expensive. I don't know the exact conversion in dollars, but it was too much. So we just decided to watch to watch the Christmas game, and we were so thankful that the Warriors won that game because uh, if we all remember that time we were so ass, like
Yeah.
we weren't so sure because I think Memphis were the favorites to win that game, and
Mhm.
they were complete. So yeah, so I didn't want our Christmas to get ruined.
Right now. All right, how you doing? Oh yeah, you too.
Yeah.
What's up,
So
Bert?
hey, what's going on, brother? Yeah. So last night, what, Thursday night? Who played on Thursday night football last night, Jermaine?
It was the Green Bay Packers and Detroit Lions, and Detroit smack
Yo,
creamed their ass
Lions
around.
destroyed the Packers. Yeah, I saw that.
Masterful, masterful game plan. The OC for Detroit kept Green
Yeah,
Bay off their heels, but they didn't know what the fuck was coming. Yeah,
man. Kings of the North, they say.
yeah, right.
So the Lions aren't asked for once, you know?
Yeah, right. They finally got there. Might look like
Yeah,
they could win the division. So shit, good
man.
for them, man. Good
Nah,
for
that's good
them.
stuff. That's good stuff because, you know,
They've been getting their ass whooped for years
they've
on
been
that
asked like even through like the Megatron years and the Stafford years, they've just always been asked. Hey,
But
did y'all see the thing that Bansky said, bro?
yes,
Bansky must be out of his fucking mind, dog.
and I seen that. We talked about it last night,
That is the
and
first thing that I wanted to talk about because I wasn't on last night, but he
mhm.
is out of his bro, he's out of his mind because he's bro, like I've noticed this like the last, I'm gonna say, couple of years with these James Harden people. They use the word influential a lot, right? Like
Right.
in terms of saying that he influenced the game more than Steph did. Are you out of your damn mind? No, he didn't.
Yeah. Yep.
To have influenced something, one, you would have had to win, right? And two, like the man choked over and over and over again
In the
in
playoff.
so it's not over. It's not that he just choked. I think it's something more than choking. How would I
And
even
man,
describe?
I'm gonna tell you something. Ert, in the playoffs, it looked like man he just would just give up. Like they just took his will at times, bro. When he when he couldn't get out what he wanted to or go to the free throw line, and
Yeah,
he just gave up. He like broke his will time and
mm,
time again.
yeah. So it's like we look at this thing and it's like, yeah. I mean, I suppose, right? Like
Nah.
you look at him and it's like, yeah, it's cool and all, you know, Harden. It's nice what he did or whatever, but to have influenced anything, you would have to won or win. You know what I'm saying? He didn't win, so
Then
I don't know
win,
how
yeah.
you can just like crowbar him into these conversations. It's like this is nuts, and it's you know, Bansky's around
Irritating.
these dudes, man. Like Bansky interviews these guys like he's locked in. And sometimes I feel like when you're locked in with guys, you tend to say crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I know what he's saying, 36 points, this, that, and the other, but I mean, like a lot of guys do that shit now. It kind of doesn't mean anything, bro. Like you gotta be scoring the points and you have to be you have to be
Winning.
winning,
You
right?
have to win.
So I can tell you this, right? And this happened with Michael Jordan too. Don't get it twisted. So 1988, all of that shit. When Michael Jordan wasn't winning, he got killed, right?
Yep.
Scoring champion could never win, blah, 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 blah. Larry Bird this, Larry Bird that. And once MJ scaled up, nobody had shit to say, right?
Yep.
They just had to call him the GOAT.
It
So
was, it was Isaiah Thomas this,
yeah, bro, and
Isaiah
he just
Thomas
kept
that.
winning, kept winning, kept winning. So it's like,
Yep.
yo, those media dudes, they used to say the same stuff about MJ until
Yep.
he just started to win. He just started to
Win,
win everything. You know what I'm
win
saying?
and,
So
win and shut their fucking mouth. They
yeah,
couldn't
so
say nothing.
it's like when we sit here and talk about like these guys and all of this stuff, and I feel like we just want to hand these dudes shit because they put up stats, bro. Everybody in this era is putting up stats.
Right. That's why we
Everyone
had.
in this era is
That's why
putting up
we had a
stats, bro.
Bradley
Like,
Beal scoring 32 points
yeah, man,
for
it's
the
not just
season.
one person. Yeah, but it's not just one person that's just putting up stats in the era. Everyone is putting up stats,
Yep.
right? Um, so how do we differentiate, bro? Like, I don't know.
Winning. Playoffs. Winning.
Yeah, so you know, and Harden has had some stinkers in the playoffs, right? So this is why we are going to look at Dame Lillard now because Dame Lillard is in a situation now where, you know, and I know what's about to happen with Dame because Dame is like a big ego dude. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't want to be considered this, that, and the other, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna watch Dame Lillard closely. Like the thing that you have to watch with Dame Lillard now, like it's cool that you can have all the help and this, that, and the other, right? But are the egos going to clash all of a sudden?
Right.
Because you heard Dame. Dame is like, I don't think anybody's better than me. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cute. No one is better than you, huh? And
Well,
that's the
I got
thing.
I got this to say, Eric. You
Yeah.
got a guy that's on your team that's better than you. Shut the fuck up.
No, but here's what I'm saying. Dame doesn't think that. Dame doesn't think that.
Right.
And
No, it should be. You're supposed to feel
hold on.
confident in
So
yourself.
guys do the lip service thing, right?
Right.
But then you have these other guys, and I genuinely feel that Dame doesn't think that Giannis is better than him. You know what I'm saying? I genuinely think that. I think he feels like, oh, he just didn't have a team around him, blah, 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 right?
Mhm.
But if we get into a late game situation and Dame has the ball and all of this stuff, he's going to tell you that,
He got it.
oh, the guy, right? I promise you, we're going to run into a Shaq and Kobe type of thing.
Right.
You know, at some point. People don't believe it, but I see it coming from a mile away.
Oh yeah. But hey, you remember when we were talking about once the trade went down with Phoenix and shit? So let me pose this question again.
Yeah.
Who has the most pressure on them to win a chip this year?
Who?
Out of those, who has the most pressure to win a championship, or just as a team going into the season to win? Out of those two teams, basically, because I think that's where the pressure lies. I don't think Kevin Durant. I think Dame now. Me personally, because it ain't no more excuses.
if you have Giannis on your team, so all this time we heard about Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Steph Curry having all this help, and the only reason why he won with right, and Steph won too
Mm-hmm.
without KD, right? So
Right.
I don't think there is an argument historically to say that KD is better than Steph. There's zero argument, zero.
Right.
Now the other thing about it is that now Giannis has Dame and Dame has Giannis, right? So right off the bat, people are saying that is the best duo in the league, right?
Right.
But I'm going to ask you the question: why wasn't Joel Embiid and James Harden the best duo in the league? So you see how those two arguments, the two things that we're talking about. So Bansky comes out and Bansky's like, "Yo, this dude is the best, this, that, and the other," and I'm like, "Really? Is
Right.
he really the best? Are you sure that he's the best?"
I
So
think
so are you sure that Harden is as influential as you say he is? Because I'm going to tell you this: in 2020, 2019, 2018, there wasn't a man alive that was saying that Damian Lillard was better than James Harden. Not a soul
not
was saying,
not one.
right? And
Yep.
it's not until then that Damian Lillard, like, he really, really amped up his stats, right? So you look at what Lillard was doing before then, right?
That's when
Lillard,
we got the Dame time bullshit in the playoffs when he started jacking up shit. Yeah,
let me show
taking
you
more
what I'm
shots and
talking
shit.
about. Hold on one second. So here's what I'm talking about. So 2015, 2016, right? Now look at
Mm-hmm.
the 3-point attempts. So he's right around like what, like 8 a game, 8,
Eight a game.
8.4,
Yep.
whatever, right? So he's right in
Mm-hmm.
that region, right? James Harden is killing it in terms of 3-point shots right there. Like he's just doing a step back, and that motherfucker is taking like 13 threes a game, right? Dame
Right.
Lillard is like, oh shit, like these dudes are shooting from deep. Now this dude ups his volume, right? And now he's in the double figures in terms of volume, right?
Right.
Yeah. 40% from three, 39%, 32, 37%. And he's up in his volume. You know what I'm saying? James Harden, during, say, this stretch, so this 3-year stretch here, let me go to James Harden's thing, right? James Harden, where is it? So right around here. So look at his 3-point volume, right? Bro, 9, 10, 13. I don't think he's
13.
ever took 13 in a year. 12, right? Like he is murdering the volume, right? And in turn, he's going to the line a shitload of times, right?
Right.
And
On top of that, yeah.
right, so to me, like that style of play, right? Like I'm when you talk about that style of play in terms of the volume and the heliocentric play, that I don't think anyone can do, like, or is going to surpass what James Harden did in terms of pure volume, right? So James Harden is like fucking, 9, like during this stretch, he's around 11 a game or something like that. Yeah, so close to 11. He's at like 11 threes a game during that stretch. And on top of it, no, sorry, hold up. Yeah, 11.2 threes a game, and he's going to the line 11 times a game. That is out fucking range,
Crazy.
right?
Crazy.
So to go to the line and take that, you can't really have anyone else on your team that's doing anything like that. This is just pure volume. You know what I'm saying? So while you're taking all of these threes and you're in the upper limit of volume like that, like you're in the upper limit of volume like that, I don't think you can say, I don't have any help, because you are getting credit putting up all of these volume numbers. You know what I'm saying? Now, the guys who win championships, they find a medium, right? Like they find a
Balance.
medium between, scoring the ball and getting teammates involved, right? So you look
Right.
at Steph Curry right here. This right here, that right there was his upper limit in terms of volume. And the motherfucker was only taking like 20 shots a game. You know what I'm saying? Up to this point, he like upped the volume and he's taking crazy like this is 20 shots a game is crazy for him because prior to that, he's taking what? Like, let me go to the high volume years. So that right there, he's taking like, 4 free throws a game. He's taking 8 threes a game, right? 8 threes a game. He's shooting like 40s in terms of three. Now, right here is the 1 year he starts to up his volume. And he ups his volume and he's fucking breaking basketball. Like, people don't even know what to do at this point. 11 threes a game, 4 or 5 free throw attempts a game. You know what I'm saying? Not like the 11 like James Harden. But he's just crazy efficient, right? So this right here, this doesn't make any sense. This 63% effective, right? If you look at that relative to anyone that ever scored 25, this blew it away up until this point, right? So
Right.
he is just murdering the game. So when we talk about relative to league average and all of that stuff, he is like 12 points higher than league average. So this year, right? This year, this 63% right here, the man led in scoring and he led in efficiency. Okay?
Defensive. Yep.
Let me tell you what that means. That means that, let me try to find the stats here as well. So what that means is that, typically when you look at guys and they are they're leading the league in scoring, they're probably like +3 league average or whatever, right? So they're right there in terms of league average, right? Like they're 60% true shooting or whatever, right? Something crazy happened this year, and let me see if I can find it. If they even break it down like this, or if they still break fucking Basketball Reference. Yeah, so this year, right? So they don't have it broken out like that. But anyways, so that year, right? When we look at that, he led the league in volume, right? So he led the league in scoring, and he led the league in overall efficiency. So you see those dudes that, like they catch lobs, they go 5 or 6 in a game. They, they're just dunking the ball, right? They're at the rim, a guard feeds them the ball, they just dunk the ball. Throw them a lob, they dunk the ball. Okay, those dudes, Steph Curry was more efficient than those dudes. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's how insane he was that year. He led the league in scoring, and he was more efficient than motherfuckers that dunk the ball for a living. That's all they do. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's how stupid he was relative to the league, right? So when they go to the finals and they just get absolutely robbed, this is why Warriors Twitter gets so pissed and they're so vitriolic towards anything LeBron or anything like that. That's why, because that shit got stolen, bro. It literally got stolen. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
All because they didn't want LeBron losing a fucking second final in an embarrassing fashion. They just switched
Embarrassing.
to the series, bro. Like they literally fucked with the series. You know what I'm saying?
You never seen a fucking superstar go to the fucking post game and ask for a guy to be suspended
Yeah, bro. Like,
because he thought you a fucking bitch.
yeah. Like, right. So it's like, every time that motherfucker won, man, it was always some bullshit. And, that team was god awful last year and they still could have won. They still should have. Now,
That shit, that's the one that pisses me off, man.
now we get to the Chris Paul thing now, right? We
Mhm.
get to the Chris Paul thing. I'm seeing yesterday Monte Poole saying that he doesn't think the Warriors are going to trade Chris Paul because of optics. Bro, let me say this. If there is a chance to get better, ship his ass out of there. You know what I'm saying?
I
because
think
you
they will. I think they
started
will.
bullshit and all of that fuckery. Like, I'm not trying to hear that shit, bro. Like fall in line, dog.
The same thing they said about Jordan Poole. Dunleavy was asked, "How long is Jordan Poole gonna be here?" And he said, "For the next four
Fall in
years."
fucking line. If there is a chance for us to get better, get the fuck out of here. Let's get better. Like, I
Yeah.
don't give a fuck about perception or, like all that bullshit that they did last year. They kind of fucked us. So guess what? Fall in line, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not playing this cutesy shit this year, bro. Like, fall in line. Like, Chris Paul should not be starting. Let's be serious.
We've been
Let's be
saying this
serious.
all the time since he got on the team.
Come on, man. Let's not do this, man. Let's not do this thing where we're talking about, James Harden. Come on, bro. This is nuts.
And you think they gonna be able to get shit? That's kind of high, bro. Two first round picks. They ain't gonna be able to get that
Yo,
shit.
Jay, you can come up and speak, Come through, Jay. Jay just sent me that link. Jay, request up, please. What's going on, man? So you're saying
I'm
that
sorry, everyone.
there's 2 first round picks. That's the them going
That's
price.
the asking price. I knew that 2 days ago. Yeah, I heard that immediately
Fuck
from
that.
somebody.
What's up, Jay?
What's up? I heard that immediately. I said in your chat. That's why I said in your chat yesterday when people were asking like, "What can you get?" And I'm just like, "What are you like? You guys only have 2 first round picks. You guys can give up right now currently.
Yeah.
So why are you giving that up for a 6'3" guard?" Or
Were you in the spaces yesterday and did you hear me
I
argue?
heard, yeah, but I know what you were getting at. It was a good conversation. I thought it was more fun. It was more entertaining than anything. Should have just told him that, Urkel. That's the reason. It's not about the player. It's why are you going to give up assets for that? I don't know. I mean, I guess he makes your team better, but what are you losing? Does he make up for that? That doesn't help that doesn't help what deficiency you guys have. You
That's
guys are a
what I'm
small
saying.
team.
Like,
You guys are let's be honest. You guys are not that big of a team, and now you're just gonna
go smaller and
go smaller. I'm like, I don't know what else to tell you guys. And this,
yeah,
by the way,
like
so can I say something? I should send you that clip, Urkel. Darvin Ham talked about this yesterday. Because somebody asked him in their presser yesterday, "Hey, you guys didn't go get a bulky, big center, right?" And he goes, "Yeah, those are nice to have." He said, "I'll send you the clip. It's actually really interesting because he brought up your team too, by the way." He said, "It depends on what your roster's built like." He goes, "What I want is an 8 type of like AD in the middle, and I want 6'8" to 6'9" guys, 6'7" to 6'9" guys surrounding it. That's what I want."
But just because you have length don't make you a better team. It don't make you a stronger team.
not
What I
necessarily.
mean, no. That's not what he's saying. No, that's not what he's saying. If you get a center, if you have a center, he actually said 2 people's names. He said, "What you have Embiid and Joker. There is no guarantee you're playing them in the playoffs. So you're going to have this guy that's on your roster that you only play a couple times a year. That's all he's needed for, and then otherwise he's on the bench getting a DMP because that's a waste of a spot."
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, true.
I agree.
Like right now the big thing is how versatile you like. If the league did not this summer, if you notice the league, no one went and got like centers this summer. No one went and did anything just because Joker won, because that's not how the league's playing. You can't. He's not Shaq. I hate to tell people that. Like that was a different time. You also had Tim Duncan. You had David Robinson. There's
You know
not.
what fans were doing that I think is just kind of silly in a way. you can't sit here and overreact to a certain type of guy winning, right? Like,
Hmm.
so in 2016, the league definitely had to switch, right? So
Sure.
we look back on then, right? So share my screen again so I can prove my point or illustrate my point, not prove it. But all right, y'all are seeing my screen. So let me do this.
My question is, why would you like? I just chat and everybody like, why are you? You just don't give it up. You just don't get up your. I just don't think that's not the player you want to give your assets up for.
So the shit that the Warriors were doing, right? This is where the Warriors were, damn near a plus 11, right? So they had like the number one offense and they had a top 6 defense, right? This team here that was a plus 11, that was killing it as well. I think they beat the Spurs 3 times that year. You know what I'm saying? Like they annihilated the Spurs because they didn't know what to do with Steph, right? So the league was like, oh shit, we can't just go big against this dude. He's just annihilating us, right? So we have to find a way to close this gap. So what did the rest of the league do? They went and they started to shoot more threes, and they started to get power forwards that could stick threes in the corner. And also, they started to get a lot of these versatile type of Andre Iguodala types that can switch every interchange, right? Because one of the things that really messed up the Warriors is when teams started to switch everything, and they started to turn it into like a kind of like a one-on-one thing. I don't think that was the fix, but I do think that the injuries kind of masked a lot of those things, and the Warriors were killing it. So this is like what, a plus 10, plus 11. So this is all-time stuff, right? You get to 2023, okay? And you look at what the Nuggets are doing, right? In terms of net rating, the Nuggets were 6th in net rating, so only like a plus 3. So look at all of these teams that are just clustered around. The best team in the league is like a plus 6. Do you know why this looks like this? This is homogenous, right? This is homogenous right here. This is saying everyone else is kind of doing the same shit,
Same
right?
shit.
They're playing small, and the margin of victory every night is smaller, and no one else is kind of separating themselves, right? So this right here, bro, this is saying that everyone else is doing the same shit, right? And you had a team that was 6th in net rating, a plus 3 team, and they won the title. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like the league needs to just go big now and do all of this shit. There is a lot of room for error within here. There's a lot of teams that could beat the Nuggets, right? Like I watched Miami, and Miami wasn't anywhere near any one of these teams. Look where Miami was, right? Miami was a negative team. They made the finals. Look where the Lakers were. They weren't even plus 1 team. They made the West Finals. This tells me that there is something going on in terms of how the game is played, right? So you see this right here, plus 6.5, plus 5.5, this plus 4.5. These teams are fugazi. They're frauds, right? They're absolute frauds. So they're not doing jack shit. This is a bunch of fugazi stuff, right? So, I mean, I wasn't even shocked when I see
Urkel, do you know what Denver was? Urkel, do you know what Denver was in the playoffs? Do you know what the rating was? Their offensive rating was 118.5, which would have been number 1 during the season, and
yes.
they were defensive rating of 110, which would have been tied with Milwaukee. They were plus 8 in the playoffs. That's why they won.
Yeah.
That's why they won.
Yeah, I agree with that, but
that is why they mean you were plus 8 throughout the playoffs. You're basically they were the best.
I'm not saying that they didn't and I'm going to throw this out there. I don't think I think they ran into some injuries. I think they would have beaten those teams anyway. Damn, Jay. I think they were better than all of these teams, but I also think that that margin that we see in that we saw in the playoffs, there was some injury luck in there. There was some if they were running into other teams, that margin doesn't look right. You look at
Maybe. I mean, they had they played that game. That series was close.
Super close. It was
And that team, and they played a tired team. Maybe like you could, all the jokes aside, they played a team that played at a clip that they probably should have. Both of our teams. I said this last year. We both had the best records in the West the last 25 games.
Yeah.
And you were racing to the end to get a spot. And when you do that, that's not natural to go into the playoffs. It's great, but that means you're playing at a high clip every night.
Yeah.
Till the end of the season, and it just doesn't work.
So I also think the Nuggets had the Lakers number, in the sense that Jokic created some mismatches that that I don't think the Lakers could solve for. Right? He problems, and the key to Jokic, right, is that you're just going to have to make a decision. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to have to make a decision. You have to just turn him into a pure scorer, right? And just have him do 40, 45. Like, that's what he's just going to have to do. And you have to figure out a way to take away his playmaking as much as possible, right? And you just have to make him beat you. Like, he's just that good. You know what I'm saying? So the Celtics tried this with Steph Curry, right? And the Warriors' formula was, let Steph Curry cook, and then we're just going to take away everyone else.
Everybody else.
The problem is that the Warriors were really, really good defensively, and Steph really cooked. And, Steph was better than Brown and Tatum combined, right? So that is pretty much what it came down to, right? So Steph won the way that people say he couldn't, right? When he was given a chance to play that way, he absolutely annihilated you, right? So, and he did it against like the best defense in years, right? So, when people try to poo-poo that championship, I see it all the time. I'm like, really? Because again, like, sometimes guys just beat you, man. And, Jokic, he's capable of just beating you because the Suns tried the same thing. But again, the Suns weren't championship ready, bro. Everyone and their mom was like slated or slotting in the Suns to make the finals and all of this stuff, right? Like, I don't think they were ready to even contend. Booker was putting up stats, and that's cute and all, but I mean, they weren't ready. They didn't have a competent defense anywhere near. So that's pretty much what it comes down to. But the Nuggets were the best team, I would say. But they, they ran into some stuff like Minnesota, and that's the spoils of being the number one seed. You know what I'm saying? Then they ran into the Suns. The Suns were like, KD like sprained his ankle, and he came back. The team got decimated. Like, all types of shit happened, And Jokic was just annihilating them. Like, he really was. Like, no two ways around it. No two ways around it. He just kind of annihilated them. So, I mean, hats off to that +8 J. That +8, he had an all-time playoffs though. Like, can't take anything away from him, man. All-time playoff performance.
Yeah. Another thing too is the two games they won and this is how they're going to have to probably win it in the playoffs again this year. If that's what they're going to do, is they had two games where KD and Booker, the two games they took off with Denver might have took their foot off the gas a little too.
Yeah.
They shot all-time great in two games, basically.
Bro, that's right here, bro. 30 points, 13.5 rebounds, 9.5 assists, 59% effective. Bro, this is insane. So his his playoff effective is 57%. You know how bonkers this is, bro? If he does something like this, like 3 more times, like he probably enters the GOAT discussion. He probably enters the GOAT discussion. And he's 27 years old. Oh shit. That's scary stuff. This,
But Urkel, do you think the Nuggets got better though? Their team, did they get better though?
I don't think they got better, but I don't think it matters. Because I
Yeah.
think it's just that good. Hold up,
They
Brian.
did.
Let me
I think they lost the what's his name, Brown?
Bruce
Yeah,
Bruce
he
Brown.
yeah.
I think
Wasn't he
this
like the
is.
sixth man?
Let me just say this. I think that's faulty logic. I'm just going to tell you this right now. If you have logic like that, is Jokic getting worse or better? That's my question to you.
Is he
Yeah,
what, Jay?
Is he getting worse or better?
I think he's getting better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That covers up for a lot of stuff. And what they did, a smart thing they did is they knew they were going to lose people, right? So what they did is they just replenished. They collected draft picks. They know that's what direction the league is going. So they just keep picking up young players.
But my
You know.
concern is their defense though. Yeah, you can have the best offense all you want, but doesn't defense win
I think you
championships?
just missed. I think you just missed. You know they had a 110 rating defensively in the playoffs. Did you know that?
Yeah,
Yeah, they were
yeah.
It's
Mentioned a
really
while
the
ago.
start. And by the way, it's really their starting five too. So really, what you're banking against is not their bench, because that their bench isn't going to be what wins them games in the playoffs anyway. It's going to be that five. That five is good. That starting five is really good. Like what they can't afford is having injuries to their starting five. That's really what it is. That's really what it is.
Yeah,
Jay,
you
are
have a
you hearing
They
Jay, are you hearing anything about this Klay Thompson contract?
like, will it get signed?
Yeah.
I don't think it gets signed.
So you think we go into the year?
I think
Okay.
it hurts you guys. So I think so. Two things happens like that. It puts you guys in a jam for a couple things, right? If you guys don't sign him, you kind of like like your hand is kind of forced. Like you have to decide what you want to do with him. I think they thought, that's what I would say. Like you have to decide: are you going to let him roll to the end of the year, and he can walk. Somebody can give him money. I guess if that's what he wants here in the end. Like you guys would have to choose. Like if he doesn't do it, it hurts you guys. You kind of want him to sign right now because you can't trade him. You have to wait 6 months anyway. And if you want to trade him for a bigger package for something else later on, you can't do it anyway. So I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. What do you think?
Urkel. How much
I've
is
heard he's
Clay
not going to sign.
asking?
I just heard that he's just may not sign. He just may not sign. If it doesn't happen like this month, it's going into the season.
I'm trading him. If there's something on the table right now, I trade him. How say you, Dre?
Who are we talking about?
Clay.
Oh yeah, you trade him.
I'm trading.
I don't think you trade him now, but you trade him maybe closer to deadline.
Who's available?
I don't think there's anybody available.
Not
Like
right now.
If
nobody's
this is
really.
possible,
The
so
problem is there's nobody. The problem is right now, like the only really person is like available is Drew, but that's because of circumstances. And let me just say something about the Drew Holiday thing. If Drew doesn't get traded like within this week, next couple days, going to training camp, Portland doesn't have to do anything. Portland could just bring him in. They feel fine. If I'm in their position, they feel fine. They could wait this out and get 2 picks. That's what they want. That's probably what they're going to get in the end.
I'm going to be dead honest
They
with you.
already got rid of Dame, right? Their biggest problem was getting Dame out the building. They got Dame out the building. Now they don't have to stress about Drew.
So I'm going to be honest with you, right? If there is a OG Clay trade right now, I'm pulling the fucking trigger, bro. I'm pulling the trigger because Don't get me wrong. Clay is like my first option to stay on the team, right? It's always going to be Clay Thompson. However, if you're playing hardball like this, and say Toronto is like, hey, OG, blah blah blah, Clay will be putting on his winter tires, dog. I'm going to be dead honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Because
You could trade him now. Like the thing is, they would have to move really fast. Circle. You know what I mean? Like if you trade him now, you get what I mean?
if it's one
It's
thing,
not that he. Go
if
ahead.
it's
Sorry.
no, Shadow is not going to come in, and Shadow knows people on both sides, and he keeps on saying, but he's been saying it for months. He's like, "Yo, make the trade, like, or sign the deal, sign the deal, sign the deal." And I'm telling you, like, I am not. You're not Kevin Durant, where you can just, play out the year or do this or do that. Fuck that, bro. Like, not playing those games.
Yeah.
I hope people don't know. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he signed something either, right? But I just right now it doesn't feel like just from the wins and stuff like he is going to sign his contract. So
Well, they want him at
I
a
mean, he
certain
could wake up
number.
tomorrow. He could wake up today. Yeah, he
It
can wake up
takes
today and say,
time.
"I'm going to sign it." Yeah, he can just
Yeah.
wake up today. That's the whole thing. So I don't want people thinking like, "Hey, like he won't directly. He could change his mind." So
They
that's
want him
how
at
these
they
things.
want they want him at a certain price. If he doesn't sign at that price, they will ship his
Do you
ass.
guys do you guys know what number they want him at? Is it 25? Is it like the 25 range? Is that what they want?
Have him in the 25 to 30 range, like right in that range. Yeah. I think they don't want to stay in the second apron. Like,
And he wants 35, right? 35ish,
I think
probably.
he's 40s, bro. Like,
40.
yeah.
No
For
way,
years
bro. No way, bro.
168.
Come on, bro. What are
4
we
years
doing here?
168.
What are we doing
Yeah,
here?
that's what he wants. 4 years
By the way,
168.
Hey, Urkel, I'm just going to tell you straight up. There is no way in hell I'm giving this guy
hold
$40
on.
million
That thing that they're saying in the chat right now about Clay, that's not true. I know what he said. That's not what he said. That's not what he said. What they really want to say, they can't say. What they really want to say, they can't say. I know what he said, though, but it's all good.
Yeah, I ain't giving him that kind of contract at that age either. Shit.
The production doesn't, I'm just saying the production doesn't match that number either.
That's funny stuff. Out of a scale of 1 to 10 in this climate, and notice when I say today's climate, our PC climate, it's probably a 9 out of 10. It's probably like a 9 out of 10, along with some stuff that was building on top of it. It was really bad. It was really bad. He's not lying. I mean, not lying. I mean, yeah. Still can't punch your teammate though. I mean, shit. Like, we're trying to win a championship. Control yourself. Still can't punch your teammate. You have to show some self control. I mean, I don't give guys the benefit of the doubt that have had nasty things said to them in all types of hostile environments, and then some guy's gonna say something to you, and that has you jump off the rails. I mean, How say you, Dre?
As far as the Draymond punch,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, obviously. I mean, I don't think you should punch your teammate, but I mean, we already know what he said, so
yeah,
obviously, like,
flagrant.
we kind of know that, like, we kind of get it. Anyone that's been like in some capacity has some pride and has some reputation built behind them. Like, you there's certain things you just don't say. So,
Hmm.
I'm not, not enabling violence, but like, hey, talk shit, get hit,
Yo, Dre, do you
Yo,
like go to school in the same area where your parents live, or are you out of state?
I don't want to say because there could
Okay,
be
okay.
rumors. I'll tell you offline.
All right, cool, cool.
Yeah, 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 because you know how these fucking, I don't know who the fuck's listening. Like,
Yeah.
could be, could be people. There's people willing to pay to know. Trust me.
Oh my God, yeah, for real. Mm.
Don't sports teams have sports psychologists? Yeah, they do,
Yeah, yeah.
but they don't.
You got to utilize it too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but players don't go to the fucking sports psychologist like be like, "Yo, Jordan," like da 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 da. They're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be like, "Yo, Jordan's talking shit," blah blah blah. Like they're just gonna handle their shit, and then whatever happens, happens. The sports psychologists are always used after the fact. They're never used before the fact. They're always used after the fact.
Dre, I have a question.
What's up?
Uh, you study film, right? You study basketball, previous basketball videos. Am I correct?
Sure.
Like
Yeah. Yep.
how do you do it? Like, do you download the game? Do you watch it slowly? And where did you learn all the stats that you know? Like, I'm trying to learn all of those.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of just. I guess I don't really watch it slowly. I try to like if I feel like I'm missing something, or if I feel like I try to see the full court. Like so, I sometimes you just pause the video. Sometimes you just have to take your time and I guess it's hard to explain right now, but like once the season starts and we actually get into the nitty gritty of film, like I can kind of like break down the process. So like I'll probably find a video on YouTube or on some website that's like a previous video, and then yeah, I guess I'll like pause it at times, look at the play, look at where like positionally where players are, try to like identify what they should be doing versus what they are doing, and then
Mm-hmm.
making that comparison. So like whether it's a mistake, whether they're in the right spots, what's considered like the proper rotation or what's considered the proper read on offense, like stuff like that, and just trying to think the game in terms of like as the player, like what does the defense want, what is the defense aiming for versus what is the offense trying to do. So like understanding the schemes between the two teams, and then placing that like lens like on the court itself in a certain play or on a certain in a certain moment. And then you said, do you like pause it, slow it down? Yeah, I guess I do. Like, I guess that's what most film is like chopping it up so that you can actually like frame by frame go through like, okay, this this was done correctly, this was done incorrectly. Also, you should just rewind too. Like, pause it, and then like because you'll zero in on the ball, but like
Mm-hmm.
the same play you can rewind and then see like a different thing, and then you can like look off the ball and see like, okay, is this player in the right position? Should he be cutting? Should he be spacing? Why is he here? Why is he there? Why is the defense cheating off, rotating? Why are they helping here? Like you can like replay the same play like 6 different times and pick up 10 different things from that. Like I feel like it doesn't even need to be like a full game. You have to like breakdown, you can break down like 2 or 3 plays and pick up 30 different things from it because you're just like looking at 5 different players or 10 different players, I guess, on defense or offense, and you can see like, oh, okay, like this is what's going on here. I think the greatest thing or the most important thing is like understanding what they should do, and then watching what they actually did, and then trying to find the difference or the similarities between the two, in order to say like, okay, this was a good defensive play. This was a broken down, or the defense broke down here, or like the offense, this was a great counter. Like that's the stuff. But like, I guess it'd be easier to explain once like the season starts, and we're gonna do a lot of that actually. We're gonna do so. What I'm gonna do actually, I thought about when the season starts, we're gonna do 3 options on off days around the league, which is basically watching games like around the NBA. Film study, which is essentially like breaking down the film of the previous night's game. So like just film and just breaking down the game, or like a rewatch, which is like casually just rewatching the game. nothing serious, just like a rewatch of it,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like what we did this year. So like, I have different ideas and thoughts, and we have different options to how we can approach this, but. We're gonna do some film studies, so I think that would be good to like you can maybe get a better sense of like how I view it. And I'm probably not the authority on film. Like there's definitely like other people that can do it better than me, but I just try to view it as many times as I can, and as like I guess I hate the word objective, but like through the lens of like, okay, what should have been done here and what did happen here. And then like if the two overlap, then it's like, okay, that's probably a good thing. If the two don't, then it's like there's a breakdown somewhere. Where did that happen? You know, that's how I kind of view it. And then from there it's like you just branch out. You're like, okay, what did this player do? What did that player do? Did that player do that properly because that player did that? Did it break down from here? Like what happened there? What are the schemes that they're trying to implement? Like that's kind of like then the thought process. But again, like I said, we'll go through that during the season. And then you said the stats. The stats is more so over time. Like you kind of like just see things and you see people like use different numbers and whatever. And more the advanced stats like the VORP and player above replacement and all that stuff and like the more like super high level stats. Some of that's
Mm-hmm.
cool, or player impact, whatever. That stuff's like interesting because it's an accumulation stat in terms of uh like impact, and reflects like how great players are, how impactful they are.
NBA history. His
Like
scoring game is
overall
extremely limited.
and on a large scale,
He
but
struggles to even take advantage
I think
of point guards
ultimately
in the
the
post.
best stats you just
His outside
can
shot
use
is
are like
highly
plus minus
problematic.
over a
Teams
large
don't even guard
sample
him because
size.
he's hit just
Net rating's big, and like on offs, those things are like the ones that are probably most useful. Points, rebounds,
That's
assists are
advice that I
cool.
can give you, right? Is think of it this way. Like I'm a big fan of like really simplifying things, right? So think of it like you have 5 players on one side, you have another 5 on the other side, right?
Yep.
The 5 crosses the half court and they're playing man to man, right? Everybody
Mm-hmm.
is guarding a man. Now, you will have your star players who are literally going to take advantage of any defender at any point in time, right? One on one, you can't guard them. And it's even worse in this era because the defense doesn't have an advantage anymore because they can't use their hands, they can't use their elbow or anything like that to steer you wherever they want to steer you on the court, right? If they
Yep.
try to hand check you, put hands on you essentially, it gives the defense an advantage. Okay? So just think of it that way. So if you cannot put your hands on anyone, the ball handler immediately has an advantage. Okay? So now this is
Yeah.
the job of the defense. So the defense is man to man, and they see a guy up the top and he doesn't have any help. Now the defense, how you should think of it, right? And how I watch the games is to see where the help is coming from because you always have to provide help. Okay?
Yeah.
In this era, you can play a spot on the court, right? Meaning you can zone up, right? So you're
Mm-hmm.
playing a spot on the court and you can rotate, from side to side to side to side, right? So from a player, so you think of when somebody like Steph is in a ball screen, right? The reason why it's so really difficult to guard Steph in a ball screen is because at any point in time, he's just going to pull up and shoot the ball, right? Draymond
Yeah,
sets the
exactly.
screen. That's an advantage, right? So, you always have to watch the game in terms of what advantages are being created and how can you team rotate to cover for that advantage that's being created? That's literally what basketball is, right? So I pulled up this video of Draymond, right? And Draymond is the master of helping people guarding to in an advantage type of situation, right? So let's watch this video and this is Thinking Basketball, by the way. You should subscribe to this channel. It has some
Yeah,
good
I do.
Inspiring, averaging 7 points and 7 rebounds per game this year, which is a PJ Tucker stat line. But basketball is so much more than just those basic averages. they fail to capture how dangerous Green is in transition. Draymond is basically a point guard in these spots, reminiscent of a young Magic Johnson, where speed itself frenzies defenses into mistakes.
Now look what Draymond does here. This is an advantage because Steph and Clay create advantages. Look at Dame. Dame is never going to help off that.
Here's
Bam,
another 3
bucket.
seconds from the time Green
Right?
touches it
So
until
watch
it
where
comes
Klay
to
Thompson is right now and watch Eric Gordon.
Clay.
He's ball watching.
Off of
You know
a
what I'm saying?
basket, Draymond rams the ball
Draymond
down,
gets the ball again,
throat,
right?
pauses briefly with flankers open, and then explodes, creating his own score when the seas part. Again,
So you have to be able to
3
identify the
seconds
advantages on the
possession
court.
before
Watch
Harden
Steph and
is
Clay. They're
distracted by
never going to
Draymond's
leave Steph and
dash,
Clay,
and he
right?
makes Houston
They're
pay.
hugging them basically. Advantage,
Draymond can
right?
rebound and initiate the break.
That's why
pass.
Steph and Clay are
He's shown the
so
best
great, bro,
outlets
because
in the
they create
league.
advantages.
A hallmark of great passing is anticipating what will be open and not waiting to see it open. And Draymond not only throws this early, but it's a strike. Green's passing in general is next level. Here he's manning
Right.
point and praise.
So watch
around
the advantages that's
his
created right
focus.
now. Watch what Steph
Keyed
does,
in on Steph Curry's movement. So Green just
right?
throws
So
the ball
this
right
dude
over
right
his
here,
head. Draymond will punish help on
I think that's
guard
Anderson.
plays.
He got called ball
His
watching.
ability to hit
Draymond
players
took
in
advantage of
tight
that.
windows is bested only by Nikola Jokic. Clay's defender thinks he has this covered, but Green only needs inches. And of course, there's his signature short roll passing. Where
That's
he
an
directs his
advantage,
team
right?
out
So
of
2 on
bounds
Steph
with
Curry,
two defenders
right?
by Curry.
Advantage.
A 4-on-3
Another
with the best
advantage
passing
here.
on the
They
planet
trap Steph,
is
4 on
disaster
3,
for defenses.
layup, right?
His
Advantages.
speed and mobility come into play here too, because he
Another
can throw
advantage.
quickly off the catch, exposing
See?
these advantages.
Damn.
That's a 3 on 4, right? Advantage,
Buffalo
advantage,
Big allows the defense
advantage,
to rotate to
right?
safety.
That's what Steph Curry does. So that's why people say Draymond relies on Steph. He does, but you still have to be able to make those reads when you do have the advantage, you know, and you don't, and you have a small window to make those reads, right?
There's only the slightest opening to exploit Steph's back cuts. Again,
The off-ball
delivering
movement of
this
Steph is
early and
insane.
accurate.
Yeah.
He also maximizes Curry's gravity, punishing players when Steph pulls them
See, watch
out of
this
orbit.
Advantage. That's because
Yep.
of Steph,
Sometimes it's a
because they're
backdoor
leaning
pass.
over this
Green
to
sells
Tom
it
Steph.
for
So
Curry
this is
while
why,
waiting the
again,
defensive
2
reaction.
jump out on Steph,
Happens
advantage,
again
right?
and again
Again,
with the
advantage.
Splash Brothers. Other times Steph's gravity pulls shooters up top. The threat of a Curry shot
KD.
here makes this pass easy.
How the fuck are you
but
giving KD an
Green aces
advantage?
the
See?
advance with
Advantage.
two, quickly flicking this bullseye after
Advantage,
Iguodala
right?
brilliantly slips the screen to beat
It's that
Houston's
split
quick
second right there. Advantage.
Overall, Draymond's passing is matched by few players in the entire league, but Green's large.
So this is why I always say,
defense, where he's been
if the Warriors have 2 shooters on the court and guys who can make plays like Draymond, it's really hard to beat them.
Players on the perimeter. Here he is sliding with point guard Kemba Walker.
Now, watch his defense now.
Draymond before dropping
That's a point guard, and he's a power forward, and he's sticking with him. Block
You
the
go
shot.
back, go back on that
His
play.
feet were still
You,
light.
you
This
see where
shuffling and organizing earned him an appropriate
when he's
loss
on the
for Michigan
perimeter.
State, the dancing bear.
Can you go back on that play? I want to break down his footwork. So, do you notice when Draymond when he's in the paint, he usually goes vertical. Like what he'll usually do is so watch him on the perimeter. His feet are not necessarily square. Look. See how he's angling? He's angling. See how he like angles? That's very unique to Draymond. You see that? So when he's on the perimeter, what he'll do is he'll square up with you. Once, like, if you're about to drive a square up, the moment you are about to put the ball on the floor and see when Kemba's making that move, see how he angles his feet to funnel him left? Because if Kemba steps back, his left arm can get that contest up because he has a 7'3" wingspan. If Kemba decides to drive by him, his right arm can recover to keep up with the drive. So see how he angles? Most defenders, the reason why most bigs get beat on the play like this is because they're too square. They're too square, and the guard is too quick. So they'll just drive by right by them. But see how Draymond angles himself so that if the shot is taken, he can use his length to recover. Or if Kemba tries to drive by him, he can just use his size and frame to keep up, and then eventually his length with his right arm to deter the shot. So yeah, that's basically it.
So an easy way to say what Dre is saying is Draymond is angling and he's gapping and he's recovering. But the reason why he can do that so well is because he has like a 7'3" wingspan. He's like a 6'5" guy, and he moves like a 6'5" guy. But the only thing is that he has the wingspan of a center.
Right.
That's kind of freaky, right? So, you know, you think about like the elite centers. They have like a 7'5" wingspan. They have like a 7'6" wingspan. Draymond is a 6'5" dude, and he has like a 7'3" wingspan, right? So how many times have you seen him where he's guarding the paint? Next thing you know, he darts to the corner and he's blocking the three-point shot. You know what I'm saying? We see that a lot, and that's what he does so well. So when we say that they did the damn stuff about him, he's really elite, man. So see, gaps him, recovers.
See how he's square and then boom, angle, 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 and then recover, boom.
Yep.
Dancing bear. These quick feet allow him to stay in front of most NBA
Yep.
players.
See how he angles? See how he's angling?
Yeah.
Automated.
Every time.
Yeah, I
See how
saw
he's
it.
angling? See how he's angling? He's not square with him. And he gets beat a little bit, but he can get that. He can get beat a little bit because the wingspan allows the recovery. See, he got beat a little bit there, but boom, recover.
That length
He lets himself get beat. And then see when he's at the rim, he's completely vertical now. He's not angling for shit. He's just vertical when he's at the rim. See that? Just straight verticality.
He arrives at his spot.
So it's better
He
to
can
stay
use his
vertical
length.
in the paint, right?
What's up?
It's better to stay vertical in the paint.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't. You don't want to turn your hips or turn your body in the paint. You just want to stay vertical. But when you're on the perimeter, he just angles. See how he's just straight vertical there? He's not angling.
yeah.
Verticality. But when he's on the perimeter, he's angling because he knows he can get beat a little bit because he has that margin for error physically to recover. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So here's the other thing that he does too, Jay. So on this play, right? Let me show you what he does right here. So you see how his hands are in the air and he's vertical like that? The other thing that he does too
Jumping
is
back.
that
Yep.
Dame Lillard is here, right? But watch how he has it covered because he's vertical. But watch what he does, bro. He's jumping back as well. And even though he's jumping back, he's still deterring the shot.
It's like
Right?
turning
So
his
he
body
jumps
too.
back. Jumping back, that ref can't call that foul at this point. You know what I'm saying? And this is just like straight reaction stuff. Bam. Right? Like, that's just hand-eye coordination stuff
his
right
man
there.
abandons his dribble here, Draymond's tracking
Right?
the ball and responding accordingly. He'll swipe at the rock too when he smells blood, and his double teams are well timed and can be destructive. But
He's a great
the
help
aggression
defender,
does
too.
come with a small
Oh, yeah,
trade-off,
yeah, yeah.
As Green can miss the ball, and
Maybe the
foul
best.
hunting it like this, and his fouling ramps
No, he
up
is the
in
best.
postseason with his
He's the
playoff
best help
aggression.
defender ever.
Although
Is he more of a
his
weak
minutes are
side or a
almost
strong
never limited
side
by
help?
his foul
That's
Help side.
Green's
Sorry, weak
incremental
side.
playoff aggression is
yeah,
coinciding
yeah.
with an
I didn't notice
The
that.
best weak side defender ever.
You really
right?
shouldn't be helping strong side. That's a no
Yeah.
no in the NBA.
Yeah, that's a no-no.
If you help strong side, like Jaylen Brown did that against Philly, bro, and he got killed for that, bro. You cannot. You help strong side, bro. You're giving up too many good looks. Like, especially that corner three nowadays, like, doesn't make sense unless like the dude's a non-shooter, like a Matisse Thybulle or something. But you can't help strong side. Yeah. You get benched for that.
Oh,
So-
okay.
You see what they're saying right here, bro, about how he's just going up against bullies, right? Like the Boogies, the Embiids, the Jokic's. Like, if you can go up against a guy, right, that he's that they're these big guys or whatever, and this is why we always say Draymond Green is the key, because if you can hold on defense with him,
Mm-hmm.
and you can go on the other end, and he's pushing the ball against these bigs, and you're playing that up-tempo style, it is running these bigs off the court. And here's the other thing, too. If he's shooting the ball at like a 35 to 40% clip, like right in that range, and he's averaging like 13 points or whatever, they are unbeatable. You're not going to beat them, right? But you can't have everything. So from the power forward position, they had Otto Porter at the power forward spot, right? And you could not beat them.
Extremely difficult help.
They were just killing it, right? Like, absolutely killing it. Who the hell is calling me from the UK?
But Green not only sniffs it out, but has the catch
Interesting.
quickness to teleport in front of the cutter and jump back
See that?
without fouling.
Jump back without falling.
Freakishly
Super
good
important.
sliding
He does
back,
that the best.
and he uses this skill to defend lobs like a Jedi. Note
Damn.
Okay.
Turner's stunt toward the
That's a
ball
stunt right
or
here,
three
right?
quickly back to the
So
rim.
he stunts,
Also,
forces
no
Turner to
layup
pass the ball,
if
right?
Draymond were passing instead of Evan Turner.
Stunts,
Green sees a
forces
Pistons
Turner to
player
pass the
too
ball,
far out,
and then he just covers back to the see that?
to cover the lob and defensive rebound. These are
So basically, he baits
instantaneous reads in which
he baits
almost
the.
Oh yeah, yeah,
looks the
player,
right
yeah.
100%. See,
when the driver is in close,
he makes that bucket,
commits
but it's
hard
still
to
the bait.
ball, almost never getting caught in no man's land. This is basketball chess, ladies and gentlemen. When Green steps up,
Because
the
you
man
know,
should
because
be open, but
the
Draymond's
advantage is
looking for
created,
the
right?
certifiable
So
grandmaster.
Draymond's like,
Damn.
His
if an
ability to
advantage is
protect the
created,
paint
how do I
allows push and
recreate
pace,
an
and
advantage in my
that
favor?
passing
The way you
Exactly.
do it, you
unlocks
just
movement
create
and splash
uncertainty.
brothers.
You create
Means that Golden
hesitation.
State can play
You
small ball
like, am I
lineups
going to
and
throw the lob? Am I going to
still
take the
excel
floater? Sometimes
defensively
they just take
with
the
few
floater and
teams
they
able
hit
to
it.
pick
But
on Draymond.
sometimes it's a turnover
When
because
Golden State has
they're
played
thinking,
as a lone big man
That's the
offense,
internal math that
they
he's
struggle
doing
to
real
keep the
time. You know
ball.
what I'm saying?
Popular
yep, yep.
sentiment is that the Hamptons Five or the Death lineup unlocks some
So when we
power
talk
in
about
teams
guarding the
that
pick and roll,
overwhelm
you know what I'm saying?
opponents.
He's
But
bro,
the
he's
secret sauce
he
is
is
largely
he's the
controlling
best at
small
it.
ball
I don't
lineups.
think there's
Plus
anyone
Green. The
in his
Hamptons find
position
that
that does it
outscored
better
opponents
than
by an
him.
incredible 22.7 points per 100 over the last
That's
Can
why
I
you
agree
have
more?
seasons. But in
this is why you have to
1,500
pay him.
possessions with Green as the only big man on the court and Steph Curry alongside him, Golden State has
These are the
outscored
numbers that
teams
we
by
need to
nearly
get
the
back
same
to.
amount with a similar offensive rating.
Yep.
And that's all without
I don't
Durant.
know if that's going to
Testament
happen.
to the
But we,
incredible synergy
these
Green
are tough.
has with
These are
Curry
like
and the splash
Maybe
brothers.
close.
prime,
In the last 4 regular seasons,
prime
Golden State has
numbers.
deployed one of
That's
these
like a
Steph,
all-time
Draymond,
stuff.
small ball lineups 13%
That's
of
what
the
they need
time.
to get back
But
to.
in the
Like
playoffs, that number nearly doubles to 24%.
You think they? I don't know if they can do it
Green's
still,
regular
but
season impact
that
metrics
those numbers are
reflect his
crazy.
immense
But
value to the
maybe
Warriors. In a
something.
hybrid stat like PIPM,
If they can get half
he
that,
finished
They did it 2
that's
years
a
ago,
win.
bro. Like they literally did it 2 years ago,
and despite
and
falling off
and
in the last 2
you
regular
know
seasons,
this is
Green has
why
ranked the
I
top
say
2
they kind of
in
fucked the team
4
this
of
year
the last 5
or last year
playoffs.
because they
His
just went
massive
away
value
from
is
some stuff,
also
man.
captured by box-only
Yeah.
metrics,
No, you're right.
where
You're
he's
right.
improved the
If you
Michael
don't
Jordan
bring back
model in each of the last
GP2
5
and you
postseasons,
don't bring back
finishing
Otto,
top
right?
6 in
You
every
better damn
playoff
well
game.
make
While
sure
Kevin
that you
Durant
did
is
something.
clearly a better
You know what I'm
overall
saying? And
player,
they just brought back
in the
none of those
postseason,
dudes.
it's harder to navigate opponents
GP2,
without Green's
Otto,
veteran
or Belly,
education
none of them were brought
and
back.
unlocking those small
And
ball
those dudes
lineups
legit
easily.
helped.
And even though Durant takes
Yeah.
the offense to
And
new
not one of them got brought back.
Golden State already has
That's
an elite
criminal.
offense without him. Draymond can't carry an offense with his limited scoring. Heck, you don't even
I feel
want
like
to
if we
name a
kept
second best offensive
the
player.
2022
But
team,
teams win in
we
the
could have
NBA
went
with
back to back.
multiple
To be honest,
scorers. And when Draymond's
Some
not
guys
a
leave
scorer,
for
especially with
whatever
his
reason,
off-ball
but for
skills,
not one
he's
of
a
them to come
strong
back,
all-NBA level sidekick.
come on, man.
And so
None
strong
of those
that
guys
he
come
has
back,
been
and
the
all of those
second most
guys were
important
playing
player
rotation minutes.
on one of the greatest teams
This is
in
where I
NBA
feel I felt like some
Thank you to
hubris
all
was
my new
involved. You know what I'm saying?
subscribers
Like,
and Patreon supporters who helped make this all possible.
because at the
I hope
time,
you
like
enjoyed
when
the
they
clip.
did it, I was like, that's gonna be like, it's either it's really really gonna work or it's really gonna hurt. And unfortunately, it hurt. You know,
yeah,
they tried to boost up the young guys, and it's like they did, and it was just criminal. They didn't. And Jordan Poole, they put Jordan Poole in a playmaking role, and it failed. You know,
yeah.
that's why I thought he was overpaid, because you should be able. Uh, he finds you the link, Dennis. My bad.
Did you see the NBA trade report talking about 76ers?
Philadelphia is doing what now in trade talks? Okay, so they're trying to send James Harden out then. Oh shit. Okay. So Drew Holiday for James Harden. That works money wise, no? And you get a third team involved.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay. Clippers.
Hey, Urkel, let me ask you something real quick.
Hmm.
You and Dre, y'all believe that article that Pat Riley was willing to give all that up in the Portland GM refused to do the deal?
I don't think so. I think that you're saving face with your fans at that point.
Got you.
You know, yeah, I like they probably even inflated their offer, like when they were saying, because if your fan base thinks that you were
You didn't.
hardball, right,
Yeah, they gonna
and
kill you.
you just let another team just come in and just swoop away a dude, well, yeah, that's going to be a problem. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Gotcha.
Yes. So you just got to think about the game in terms of like advantages being created, right? Like a lot of these guys' point of attack, they're going to create advantages, right? So that's why a dude like GP2 who can't really do anything on the offensive end, that's why he can get paid money because you have him up top, bro. He can hold his own and swat the ball from you.
Yep.
But good stuff though, bro. Great question because a lot of this stuff is just from watching hours and hours of basketball, and then like you see people post different things, but the basis of it, bro, is really how can you create an advantage as an offense, and how can you close the gap? How can you close the gap defensively? How can you close those advantages? Or how can you close those gaps defensively? And a lot of it has to do with rotating. So when people tell you like, this guy stopped this guy, blah, 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 that doesn't happen in the NBA because the NBA rules are geared to, not stop anybody, right? Like you can't stop anyone. It's impossible, right? So I remember I was at the 19 finals. No, sorry, the 18 finals. And LeBron was there in that game one. And this is when I really started to realize how much advantage a ball handler has up top, because LeBron drove to the rim. And the thing with LeBron is that his whole thing is just drive to the rim, collapse the defense. When you collapse the defense, he finds the open man. That creates an advantage. So even if you cover that open man, the guy who receives the ball is swinging the ball. You know what I'm saying? And once you start to get movement around the horn, right, that creates an advantage. The defense is chasing. It burns their legs out. You know what I'm saying? So that is kind of what you want to do over and over again. Now with the Warriors, why the Warriors have been so successful is because they create that advantage. They get your defense moving in not just one way, but in multiple ways, right? So if you're coming off of a screen and Steph Curry's coming off of a screen, right? You can't give him a clean look off of that screen. So you're trying to cheat up, and you're terrified because if he comes up and he squares his shoulders, right? Like you are talking about a really clean shot for him. And that's like a 45% shot in some instances, right? And he's just going to let you cheat up, right? So, he comes off of a screen. That screener now has the choice of, do I slip that screen? Meaning, do I head to the basket as soon as Steph hits me, like he comes in contact with me, basically, right? And then you're at the rim at that point, right? So then Draymond, who has the ball, or the ball handler, they anticipate that guy slipping the screen. Next thing you know, he's at the screen for a dunk. But the defense is saying there's no fucking way I can let Steph Curry come off clean off of a screen. So they're trying to take away that advantage, right? So that's the dilemma. So that's one advantage that's created, right? That's an off-ball advantage. And then because he's moving so much, right? Like what teams do, it's called top locking, right? What top locking means essentially is like they are trying to take away the three, right?
Yep.
So they don't want him to go up top and take a 3-point shot. They want to prevent that extra point being taken, right? So what they do is that they try to cut off the 3-point line. Now the counter to that is you just cut.
Backdoor cuts.
You just cut back to the basket. Then the defender, so he's bringing the defense up, and the defense is just trying to lock off the 3-point line, right? Because they want the lowest percentage shot possible, right? But then Steph just cuts backdoor, catches the defense off guard. That passer, that's like an easy pass, basically, right? So Steph just creates advantages in so many ways. And see, when people come up or we're on the timeline and we're saying that Steph is the GOAT and all of this stuff, right? We're not just idiotic fans that are just saying that, right? What Dre and I understand is that advantages are being created. Steph creates those advantages over and over and over again. And he creates them in more ways than anyone else in the league, because not only is he doing it on ball, but he's creating advantages off ball. So that same guy dropped a video yesterday, and he was talking about how Steph Curry, instead of him doing it on ball, he was previewing that Game 7 against Sacramento in the first round, and he was just saying how Steph's game evolved, where he's just doing this shit on ball now, like he's just dicing you up on ball because that's what the defense was dictating, So you can do it in multiple ways, but the NBA is real simple. If they allow these defenders to use hands, then there is a less breakdown.
Yeah.
Right? There is less breakdown in terms of advantages being created. So think about 2022 when the Warriors started the season, right? You see the hand checking stuff. Steph was in his element at that point. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't and you can't necessarily, overtly put your hands and grab people and do this and do that. You know what I'm saying? Especially since they brought in the freedom of movement, right? So those first 2 or 3 months, the Warriors were absolutely killing it, because what teams were doing, or what teams could do defensively at least, is that they could stop cover a ball handler, single coverage, right? If you have multiple guys, this is why Jim is in love with Drew Holiday, because Jim's dream is, if you can stop a guy and you don't have to send help, that is a nightmare for an offense, right? So that is Jim's dream, right? So I understand what he was saying yesterday about Drew Holiday and having multiple guys that you don't have to give up advantages to. That's 100% true. But at some point,
Let me ask you something, Urkel. If you was a head coach and the way the roster is constructed right now for us, Golden State, how would you defend Curry? Just say you had the whatever roster you want to use. What's the best way you would come into what would be your game plan or your scheme to defend Golden State? Pick whatever team you want to. So, because players does matter how the opposing team is constructed. So pick your team and tell me what you would do. Just picking your brain.
So it's the Lakers, right? Like it's probably what the Lakers do. So I would just do that thing over and over again. Just try to take the ball out of his hands, as much as possible.
You blitzing him?
Yeah. Just take the ball out of his hands as much as you can. That's the only way.
Yo, I think Steve Kerr's on the radio right now.
Yeah, hold on. I got it pulled up here.
For him, but the way he handled it, the way he came back.
Thanks for that, Urkel. And Dre, I appreciate it.
I thought he was incredible. So
We'll do more. We'll do more down the line.
Draymond's done a lot of podcasts over the last year, but on one of them he said this is the most important season in his career. Do you agree with him on that? And how can he deliver on such an important season for you guys and for himself?
Well, I like hearing that because, Draymond he's accomplished so much and, he's heading for the Hall of Fame. But he just signed a 4-year extension. So he's got a lot ahead of him. And I'm thrilled that he's excited and motivated for the season. Every season is the most important one of your career. That's how I look at it. So when you're motivated like Draymond is, you can't wait to get to camp and get to work.
Coach, Draymond Green in that half-court offense, a lot of players sag off of him. Is there an encouragement from the coaching staff, maybe, hey, shoot a couple more times, because the spacing sometimes gets compromised, which is, I guess, why you went to one big at certain points in the playoffs last season?
Yeah, Draymond played the 4 for us forever. We occasionally have started him at the 5, but more often than not, he's playing with another big, and then during the game at some point we'll get to that small lineup where he's at the 5. So the reason it works is because he's such a good playmaker. He's one of the leading assist men in the league as a 4-man. So we feel very comfortable playing Draymond at the 4. He has worked hard on his perimeter shot, and we want him to take it. He can make the 3, and we want him to keep defenses honest and take that shot when it's available.
I mean, you've had a first-hand seat, and so have all the fans. That's why we love them so much. Curry, Clay, Draymond, and we've seen them go from like boys to men and raising their own families. How is this locker room, the culture, the atmosphere, maybe the music as you're walking into the locker room? How's it evolved from day one when you first stepped in to where it's at now? And these guys are obviously, grown men of their own, raising their own families.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts of coaching, really, is to develop relationships with guys, and then to see them grow, see their families grow, and spend time together, and really grow as a team, as a group, and experience all of this together. It's pretty unique. It's a wonderful profession. It really is. So for me, and this situation has been so unique. Very few NBA coaches get to coach a group of guys like Steph, Clay, and Draymond for a decade, and that's this year. This year is my 10th year, and been with these guys the whole way through, and seen them raise families and evolve and grow, and just been an amazing run.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Steve Kerr here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game. Klay Thompson, we know last year didn't work out in the offseason. Now I understand why. You're coming off 2 years of straight rehab. Maybe you want to take the summer off, coming off of a championship. Where's Klay Thompson at? Because he got a lot, I know on these airways, a lot of people are pointing the fingers at him about his shot selection and whether or not he's the same defender. What have you seen from Klay Thompson? How does he look? What type of shape is he in? And what did you say? I guess you know what? Screw that, Kerr. I got to ask you this. What was the message to Klay going into the offseason to get him into this shape? And what was that sacrifice that you talked about in your exit meeting with Klay Thompson?
Klay knew that he needed to have a better summer, and he told us that. We didn't have to tell him. He's self-aware, and I think this summer he was really committed. I just saw him, the last few days playing pickup ball. He looks fantastic. He's in great shape. He's shooting the lights out, motivated. It's a contract year. He wants to come back and be the best version of himself, and he's put himself in a position to do that. He's in great shape, and he's ready to roll.
Do you think this is the most difficult year of all the years, like heading into it as a coach for you, given all the new rosters, and you feel like the sand is coming out of the hourglass on a lot of these guys, and just a lot of new and a lot of things riding on the success of this year? Is this the most difficult heading in?
I don't think so, because I think Mike Dunleavy and his staff did a phenomenal job of balancing out this roster and giving us a group that really has a chance to succeed. And we've added the veteran presence of Corey Joseph and Chris Paul and Dario Saric. We have Gary Payton back from the very beginning. And then, we still have the young talent with J.K. and Moses and the 2 rookies, but it just feels like a really well-balanced roster where the veterans are going to be able to lead, the young guys are going to be able to develop on a good pace. And, with the addition of Chris, I think we've got the balance that we need to our game, where we've got to get better possessions. And there's nobody better in the league than getting a good possession every play than Chris Paul. So I feel great about this roster. I think, like I said, Mike did an incredible job team's in a good place. We're motivated because we lost last year, and I think we're feeling really good about where we are right now.
Coach, a lot was made about the culture last season being broken and the culture being out of sync, and you're going to get a test right away. 7 of the first 9 games are on the road. Are you excited for that? And can you gauge where your culture's at after just one road trip so early in the season?
Well, we haven't even had a practice yet, so you have to feel the vibe and the everything leading into training camp next week. We've had a lot of guys in the gym. There's a good feeling, a good vibe, a lot of high expectations. And our culture here over the years has been great because we have the players who make it that way. Steph and Clay and Draymond, we've had veteran guys who understand what this is all about. It got away from us a little bit last year for reasons that have been well documented, but I feel great about this team and this organization and our ability to succeed at a high level.
You've talked a lot about Jonathan Kuminga's role and how it's going to evolve and certain things that he might need to do. How does he build that trust with you early on? How are you going to know that he's earning that trust to get more playing time and more opportunities depending on the night?
Well, I think for any young player, it's really just more about learning what wins, and so that's where trust comes from. Trust just comes from, are you making the right play more often than not, or are you putting yourself and your team in a position to win? And that's the name of the game for every young player. And it takes a long time to figure that stuff out. I know everybody wants it to happen right away. But especially today in the NBA where players are coming in, at 19 with very little experience, to win at the highest level, it takes time and it takes growth. And JK's had a great summer. He's committed. He's such a good guy. He's such a willing worker and wants to impact the game at the highest level. So I love what I've seen all summer and have a great relationship with JK. And, the trust just comes as the experience comes. That's how it works.
Steve Kerr here on the Morning Rush on 95.7 The Game. Glad he could join us here. Real quick, Steve, because a lot of these players in today's game spend a lot of time on social media. And they hear things, whether it's our fans, whether it's us, talk about trades and trading this player and that player. And Jonathan Kuminga and Chris Paul's name has come up over and over and over. Is that something that you have to address to players, whether it's this year, last year, as a player? How do you navigate through that, knowing that social media has a big influence on today's game?
Yeah, it's such a difficult
Talking about us, right?
for these guys to deal with. I don't know how they do it, honestly. When I played, it was so easy just to avoid
Exactly.
the noise because there just wasn't that much of it. Now it's everywhere. And so we talk to our players about it every year. We've got people in place to try to help guys on a lot of different fronts, and it's just part of it these days. But I try to get ahead of it if I can. I just feel like the more open and honest that we can be as a coaching staff, as an organization, the more the players will trust us. But inevitably, there's just stuff out there that you can't control, and it's not an easy thing for our players to deal with.
Yeah, I've seen different video clips of you telling guys on the team, like, we don't just get paid to play, we get paid to deal with all the other stuff, right? Whether it's the media scrutiny, the pressure you put on yourself to win, which we all love because that's what you guys want to do. You want to win it at the highest level. But what do you do, Coach? Like, how do you kind of tap out from all of this pressure, all of this criticism? Is there something that you do to unplug, like Netflix or whatever, or is there a hobby that you do? Because I find it very difficult, and we're on the lowest rung of this when it comes to criticism. I find it difficult to tap out of those things. So how do you kind of navigate that?
Well, I got off of social media several years ago, and it was the best
You're
decision
still tapped
I've
in,
ever made.
Steve.
So one way to tap out is to not even see any of it. But for me, it's always, whether it was as a player or now as a coach, it's just about balance and doing the things that you enjoy. Whether for me it's cooking or cooking a meal or watching a game on TV or playing golf or doing yoga, reading a book. I mean, just just living life without paying too much attention to all that stuff.
So, are you a paperback book guy or are you an audio? Because Shasky loves the audio. I love the good old paperback. I need to smell the pages, Coach.
Me too. I can't do the Kindle thing. I need an actual book in my hand.
Cooking? What's the meal? What are you cooking up?
Oh man, I stir fry pasta. I'm not like an innovative cook. I just need a good recipe, but I enjoy the process of cooking and having a beer and having a game on in the background. It's very relaxing.
Yeah, I can only cook eggs. So you're already a better cook than me. Go ahead,
Well,
Shasky.
we have like a running joke here, like Bonte's book club. So can you recommend a book to Bonte and to the rest of the listeners that either you're reading currently or that you've read that, would maybe enlighten us? Because we need to read a little more as a society.
Oh, there you go. I just read a great novel called Demon Copperhead, and it's I think it won the Pulitzer. It's a woman named Barbara Kingsolver who wrote this book. It's a novel about a boy growing up in the Appalachian Mountains in Southwest Virginia, and very sad book, but really powerful story, and one of the best books I've read in a long time. So that would be my recommendation.
See, I'm stuck on like Lakers versus Celtics, Bill Walsh documentaries. I can't help myself, Coach. I'm locked in.
There's going to be a winning time on Steve Kerr during this era, 20 years from now. You know it, right, Coach?
I hope not.
That's funny.
I hope they portray me better than they portrayed Paul Westhead.
Seriously.
It was bad. Real quick, before we get you out of here, we got to ask the question. It's a contract year for you. You mentioned it for Klay Thompson. I guess, how do you deflect the questions moving forward? And would it just be better to get it done? Because I know you said you want to be here long term.
Yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm not worried about it at all. This is the last year of my contract, but, Mike and Joe have been great, and they've told me they want me back, and they know I want to be back, and I'm really excited about these next few years. It's Steph is still playing at a high level for Draymond and Clay. We've got these, really interesting, good, talented young guys, and so I want to be a part of it, and I have no doubt it'll happen. It's just, these things take time, so not too worried about it.
The summer of Steph. He wins a golf classic in Tahoe. He's running the sand dunes in Dubai right now, a place you were just at. He just doesn't slow down. What do you ever have to call him and say, hey, Steph, I'm a little worried, man, you're golfing. You got the new gentleman's cut drink. Like, he's just nonstop moving on. How close is that to Michael Jordan and when you played with Jordan and he was doing all the things that he was doing in Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, it's watching Steph make that eagle to win the golf tournament was one of the most incredible moments I've ever experienced, because I knew how badly he wanted to win it, and to eagle the final hole, and when you're actually a basketball player and not a golfer, I mean, unreal. But just typical Steph. He loves life. He embraces everything. He attacks everything he does. Loves his family. Loves his life. And he just knows how to live. He's and he's still at the top of his game. Working so hard, basketball-wise, conditioning-wise. The guy's incredible. So I'm lucky to coach him. We're lucky to watch him.
Yep.
Coach, on the way out, I know you are a big Dodger fan.
Oh, boy.
I hate the Dodgers. So
Yeah, we both do, Coach.
Dodgers suck. But no, do you ever talk to Dave Roberts or any other guys in other sports where you maybe get wisdom or inspiration from that you think are excellent managers in their field?
Yeah, I do know Dave. We both live down in San Diego, and so I've seen him occasionally over the years. Just run into him. We've played golf. I've actually become friendly with a lot of NFL coaches, interestingly enough, and
Shanahan.
It's just been fun to compare notes, to listen to what these guys go through. Obviously, a different sport, but similar challenge in terms of trying to motivate teams and get everybody on the same page and all of that. So I've really loved getting to know guys like Pete Carroll, who was a mentor of mine when I first started coaching the Warriors, and Of course, Kyle, who's just incredible with the Niners. Sean McVay, Brandon Staley. I've had conversations with all these guys and comparing notes, and it's really one of the best parts of my job is having access to people and coaches like these guys who are just so good at what they do.
Well, we're excited to see what you do this season, your 10th season with the Golden State Warriors, and it's been a dream for everybody here in the Bay Area, 4 championships, and I know you guys want more. Media Day on Monday, training camp starts on Tuesday. We can't wait. We're happy to have Warriors basketball back, and this should be an exciting one. Coach, we appreciate the time. I know we went long with you. Thanks for being patient with us.
You got it. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
Have
See
a
you
great
soon,
day.
Steve. Head coach of the Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr, here on 95.7 The Game. We got a break real quick, Spinone. We'll break, react to that, 888-957-9570. Our takeaways from Steve Kerr joining the Morning Roast here on 95.7 The Game. That's presented by...
Okay. That's interesting.
Man, full of shit.
Him and JK got a great relationship.
Shadow BO
My
X
ass.
PR. What it do? What the business is? What's going on, Shadow?
Where's Shadow?
TJ does. You're right. TJ does do it better.
Man, oh man.
I guess we like
Steve
TJ.
Kerr is so full of, like, the Warrior PR was in action yesterday, bro.
I thought he was full of shit.
Everything was about Jrue Holiday yesterday when pre this, and now Steve Kerr comes on here. They're talking like it's a book club. Like, what are we doing here, bro?
Shit.
See, the Drew deal is like on the table, or they wouldn't even be doing that. They don't want to get fined for tampering.
Yes, so that's why they stopped the interview yesterday. They're like,
Yes.
let's make sure that
Yeah.
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Hey,
you got
Shadow,
posted
they
today.
communicated that to 95.7. There's just no way the bro is asking about paperback or hardback today. Let's be honest.
Like
Like,
Come on.
what are we
literally
doing?
the whole show yesterday, they were talking about Giroux, how it fits,
Yeah.
what the deal is. Like, did you hear him about Kamingo though, guys?
That was the biggest takeaway for
Full of
me
shit.
of the whole thing.
Full of shit. They
He
got a
still,
great relationship, Shadow.
you don't trust him. He still don't.
Man, come on, man.
He doesn't trust him.
Oh, look at that. LeBron is telling us that he's working out at 322. Get the fuck.
He's flexing doing his job. Like
Who the fuck
that's what he's
cares?
supposed. That's what he's supposed to do. This is his
Nigga,
job.
get some sleep, dog.
Ice
Go to
up.
bed.
Ice
322.
up.
The only person that posts that on there just does that constantly.
Yeah, bro. Nobody cares, bro.
He always want
Ice up.
validation for what he do.
Go to Ray Cookhouse, bro. Like, stop it. Fuck out of here, bro.
There's absolutely no indication that JK is even going to have lineup flexibility based on what he just said.
That's what I got from him.
Bro, this is why, like, I don't know who was in
Like,
Dre's space. I mean, not space, his playback yesterday. And I was just telling the truth about Kaminga, bro. I'd rather him gone and we get an asset for him. Steve Kerr
right.
doesn't know how to coach him. He don't know how to use him. And he don't know how to appreciate him. So better we move the kid. Like,
Yeah.
poor kid lost like $60 million at least because of Kerr. At best, on the best day of all time, the Warriors give him 4 years, $60 million. When
Right.
in reality, he's at least between $1 and $1.20 for his first contract. They don't even play the guy. Like, come on, man, this is foolishness, bro.
I think there's a legitimate possibility that you see him get out there as a 4, have issues, and struggle, just like the same types of struggles that we've seen off ball at the 4, not understanding.
Man is a wing, man. He's supposed to be a wing.
He's supposed to be a wing, and getting played off the floor and not given an opportunity to play with a Draymond and a Saric and run the point of attack and just get sat and sat and sat until
we're back in this situation where we're just not using him the right way and not leveraging any of his capabilities just because some nuances of defensive schemes and things he might not be picking up because he's at a disadvantage positionally. I don't know, man. Shadow, like you're saying, it might just be better to just give the kid an opportunity for himself at this point. But let's see it. Let's see it on the court. I don't want to be pessimistic and project things just based on a bullshit interview this morning. So let's see how it plays out. But I
Yo,
don't know.
B, why can't I hear you? B, what's going on with your mic lately, dog?
Yeah, it's super quiet.
I can't hear a word that you're saying now, bro.
You sound far away.
Bro, stop using a stupid headphone, dog. Do the shit that you were doing before. This shit is cooked. Yeah, man. AK, are you watching the game tomorrow?
Yeah. So we'll do. You talking about the Liverpool Tottenham game, right?
Yeah. So what time is that game?
9:30. So we'll have it up.
9:30 Pacific?
Pacific, yeah, 9:30 Pacific, West Coast.
Okay, all right. So that game we're doing tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do a watch along.
Doing that game tomorrow on Space Gang FC. So tap in and we can talk about, or we can, live watch that game together. We don't have the rights, but fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah, we'll still have play-by-play verbally.
Yeah, we'll have 9:30 Pacific. So Space Gang FC. So what else?
We'll try to fire it up. We'll try to fire it up a little bit before, maybe like say 10-15 before kickoff, just to do a little bit of pregame stuff. Some analysis and some predictions. So, but you'll get that noti. We'll be live.
Maybe we can share some YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the last couple of days have been, frantic.
Yeah, Dane Trace set everything off.
Shadow,
Yo.
did you see the Sixers? They're trying to get into the mix for Drew Holiday. It looks like a 3-teamer, so between the Clippers, the Blazers, and Philly.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get into the mix. So I heard that they're asking for 2 first-round picks for Drew. I want to see who's going to bite. What contender is going to bite on 2 first-rounders for Drew?
LA Clippers.
Yep. Are we sure that Kawhi Leonard is healthy?
I know he's not healthy. I'm of good authority.
I believe
he's not healthy.
I believe that. I don't have any information.
Some believe he may not be the same again.
I said this multiple times this summer, just breaking down medically why. But now you're hearing it from Shadow himself. That would know. Shadow, what can you tell us? What specifically can you tell us about that?
That those injuries have taken a toll on his body, and yeah, he's going to be able to spring back and play a couple games, but it's an injury. Whereas the more wear and tear you have, it is what it is. He has minutes, so maybe he has. Let's just say he has 300 or 400 minutes in his body left before it starts aggravating again.
So, Shadow,
that's not much.
Can I ask you a question? You can or can't answer.
That's not much. That's like 10 to 13 games by the time he gets the.
So let me ask you this.
Then he'll come back. Then it'll be another 10 to 12 games, and then that's what you know what I mean. And my boy runs an entire trillion of hospitals. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's the doctor, and he went to Harvard.
Let me ask you this question, and based on the information that you have, you can or cannot answer it, just depending on what you're comfortable to share. Does he have much cartilage left in his knee?
My homie who's a doctor said it looks like it's bone to bone. or is he be back and healthy a long time ago?
This is exactly what I was afraid of when we were talking about in the summer. I was talking about what a revision can do, and when you need a cleanup procedure after a revision, what does that literally mean
Yeah, because he's cleaned
from a
it up and
medical?
he's done revisions so many
Yeah,
times that there's nothing left.
exactly. So when you're talking about quote unquote, when they say cleanups, right? When they say cleanup procedures on knees, a lot of times that gets glossed over and the public just goes, oh, they don't actually understand what that means, like if it's significant and what the significance of it holds. And when you're talking about a knee that's been operated on multiple times, again, I'm going to just say this again briefly. It means one of two things. It means you either have so much scar tissue built up in your knee from those operations and the recovery from those operations that is limited the mobility of your knee. So your ability to get into hyperextension is limited. As an NBA player, if you don't have the range of motion to be able to comfortably get into hyperextension, you are finished. You are finished. So what that type of operation does is it goes in and tries to clean up and clean out some of that built up scar tissue. Problem with that is there's no guarantee in it. When you put knife to skin, you're inherently, even by cleaning it up, are going to create more scar tissue in doing that. It's a risk. It's just one of those things where, well, it's worth the try.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And the doctor who did the procedure said he's going to be 8 weeks, right? And he'll be ready for training camp. Well,
Yeah.
training camp's next week, Monday, Tuesday. So we'll see. We'll see if he's there on media day, and we'll see if he's doing the do. If there's any, listen for this word. If you hear this word, you know his season's cooked. Sets, like he had a minor setback. When you hear those words together, you know
Yeah.
it's cooking season, bro. It's very cooked.
Shadow, how many cleanups has Lonzo had? Has he had that type of procedure?
I think he has one more, and he's coming back in February.
But is Lonzo on the same level as Kawhi? As his one?
I heard from his old coach that he's coming back in February.
Lonzo has meniscus degeneration. He has meniscal degeneration, and it's caused some of the same types of issues. But Kawhi's meniscal degeneration is an effect of ACL injuries, not necessarily like it's different. Like the way in which he's been hurt and the recovering is different. So they're a little bit different, but they can cause the same issues.
Yeah.
For Kawhi, in Shadow, you know this, that the amount of times in which they've had to address this and even having a cleanup procedure and not fully recovering from the revision just causes more and more muscular atrophy, which visibly we saw in how skinny he looked on his 32nd birthday. So these are just the types of things that keep wearing, and you're continually having to rehab and climb up from a compromised position in terms of strength and recovery. And you're not, and for an athlete, you're just not going to be able to get the type of recovery in terms of hypertrophy and gaining back that strength around your quads and in your calves and in your hamstrings when you're constantly working up at a disadvantage in terms of range of motion, which is undoubtedly limited because of some of these quote unquote cleanups that they're doing, which means that he has scar tissue built up. So it's very difficult to strengthen and get back your pop and get back your, from your ankle to your hips, your strength back in your lower half, when you have all of these things limiting your range of motion and contributing to inflammation in your knee and all of these different things. So this is the type of stuff that happens to some of these athletes, and people don't understand why athletes have this problem and that problem coming back from different types of knee and hip and ankle injuries. And they go, this athlete got cooked, and they never understood why. And when you understand the nuances and all of the different variables that can not only affect the recovery but spiral down from having certain types of issues, it brings to light an appreciation for the ones that are able to do it. And it's heartbreaking to see this happen to these athletes, because there's just no way to prevent these types of things, how your body is going to react to a specific type of procedure, to a specific type of injury. And it doesn't matter how strong that athlete was and how their genetics and how they're built. There's just certain things with recoveries that are not necessarily predictable. And I know that firsthand, playing soccer my whole life and having 2 ACL injuries,
Yo,
one,
AK.
one of which I'm still recovering from right now. So
Yo, AK. Have you seen Urkel would remember this. Urkel, remember when Roy Keane got a knee injury in like 1997 or something like that?
Roy
And
Keane,
yeah, Roy Keane.
yeah,
And to me, it just seemed like his recovery, he rushed it and he came back early and he was able to get back to the level. Why is it now that athletes now are way more careful with how they recover and what they do, like Kawhi and everything like that, but they're still able to get re-injured every time? Like in football, I see one of my players in my team last year, he was coming back every time and getting a different part of his body was getting injured every single time. I don't know if it's because he came back from his knee injury a bit early, but I don't know why the doctors are not able to like proper diagnose these injuries, because the people that are re-injuring themselves are happening a lot more than they used to, in my opinion. I feel like there's a lot more wear and tear than there was before, in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, there's certainly like different things that contribute to that. So it's not necessarily that, sports science and nutrition, because there's no question that it's progressed, right, since like the late 90s. Like we have training staffs are better equipped. They have strict nutrition guidelines for players, especially those coming back from injury, to be able to reduce inflammation, for example, in their diet, and foods that cause inflammation, which make recovery a little bit more difficult, and this and that. But inherently, you're still seeing injuries happen, and so, especially follow-up injuries happen to some of these athletes, and some of it is just the increased level of training and preparation that's required. Some of it is like, especially in Europe, like when it comes to football, the frequency and the smaller gap in between different cup competitions, domestic and international. Because Mo, your average time, your gap in between, in England, the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup and the Premier League domestic game and a Champions League game, the time between that is definitely tighter than it was in the past. So that takes a toll on these athletes. But some of it, and some of it is just inherently just basically just, for certain athletes, it's literally just bad luck. Like it literally sometimes is that simple. Like you have, like for example, Mo, Teo Hernandez. Teo Hernandez he tore his ACL, and within, I think it was like 4.5 months, he was back on the training ground, like something you'll never see, like literally never see. And then you have certain players that, have a meniscus injury and they're out for over a year. But with meniscus, it's a little bit different because there's depending on the severity of a tear in a meniscus, the operation is different. And if they repair it compared to removing it, you're out for way longer, which is what happened to Wiseman.
Yo,
So,
AK, can I ask you something about someone quickly? Do you know
yeah.
Varane? Was he injury prone? Did he have like a big injury before he left you guys?
Didn't have a big injury. No, didn't have a big injury. But he would pick up knocks here and there, just like anybody else, but did not necessarily have anything that was like super significant. No.
Oh, because at the time, I can remember that 21 season where people were telling, at the time, everyone was like, oh, Varane's getting injured every other day. Him and Ramos, like, were going out. Your team was falling down like flies at the time. And I thought Varane had like a big injury that he was recovering from at the time.
So the only thing that I remember that was like kind of significant was, I believe that he had a tear in his abductor muscle.
Oh.
But that was like the worst thing that I remember. It was a soft tissue injury. I don't remember anything that was any worse than that. But he definitely would have some hamstring stuff here and there. I know he had that abductor tear that he was recovering from, but it wasn't anything like a torn tendon or ligament or anything. Excuse me, anything like that.
Hey, by the way, do you know when you got injured, was it non-contact or contact?
When I tore my ACL?
Yeah.
The first time, it was non-contact, and I actually know I have personally, I know 6 other either friends that are close friends of mine or former teammates that I've played with at different levels, or whether it be that I played with them growing up or they played at UCLA, and I knew them growing up, that also tore their ACLs on that field. So, and it was thankfully, at least it was after competitive play. So I was just like about 4 months away from 3.5, 4 months away from graduating college, and I was at UCLA just hanging out with my buddies, some of the guys that I knew there, and we were just messing around on the IM field. So there's like the training ground that's gated up for the team behind it, and then there's just the IM field where they have different events and they have exhibition play, and students have they do all kinds of stuff there. They do ultimate frisbee, they do all this. It's just this big turf field at UCLA. It's right to the right of Pauley Pavilion, just outside.
Yeah.
And it's just really poorly maintained. So they don't really manage the rubber underneath. The turf is kind of ripped up. So there's definitely a risk in playing on it. It's a very shitly like maintained field. It's just really bad. And I was just playing a pickup game, and I split the ball in between two
Tell
people
me
running at me.
mechanically, right?
Yeah.
What happens on turf relative
Yeah.
to what happens on grass?
Yeah, absolutely. So what happened with me was I was trying to basically split two people that were running at me, and I was running full speed, but I dragged the ball and then pushed it past them. And when I stepped forward to basically run through, I was running full speed, and my toe, like the front part of my foot, like I would say like from my toe, maybe like 3 to 4 inches like into the bottom of my foot, like that area from like the top middle of your foot to your toe got stuck in the turf because there was a divot. So there's like basically in that area, the whole field was poorly maintained, but the black rubbery stuff under the turf was dead there. So if you pushed into it with like your hand, it would go in, like it'd be like flat, 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 and then that part would go in like a few inches because it didn't have anything under it. So that part of my foot
like
got
a chain
stuck.
reaction, right? So,
Yeah. So my foot
when
gets
your
stuck.
foot slips like that, it definitely creates an imbalance and a chain reaction, correct?
So my foot gets stuck in that, but I get stuck in there, and I'm running full speed, and basically my knee goes inward, and it like torques. And as I'm running, there's just that torque, and that it's usually a quick movement that tears it. It was just too much load on the ligament, and it just popped as my foot got stuck in that, and I was going. Yeah. My foot got stuck, and my body and my leg was still moving forward, and it just tore. So that's how it tore the first time. But in regards to your question with turf and grass, even if turf is perfectly maintained, quote unquote, like how like NFL stadiums you would think would be, and you don't have those types of concerns on a field. And just the fact alone of having cleats, not necessarily even turf, because I know they don't use turf shoes in the NFL. And you could do that. This can happen to you even with running shoes, but really when you're playing on turf, you have some kind of a stud under your shoe, like of some degree, whether it be a turf, would be a turf shoe that's like a more rounded, softer stud, or if it's an actual cleat where it's a stud. And what's happening is when athletes are playing and running around on a turf field, there is so much more friction under your feet when you're cutting and when you're turning, and that's when the biggest danger of it is in an ACL tear is cutting and turning, like it happened to me. So I was cutting, and what happens is a lot of times, there's a lot more friction in between that, and that extra friction creates for basically poor planting. And when feet are planted, and you don't have enough leeway because there's too much friction to be able to move and cut and turn the way that you typically are, what usually ends up happening is there's strain through the knee, and there's strain through the ligaments of the knee that in weird and awkward positions cannot be compensated for by your muscles around it. So by your hamstring or your quad. And what ends up happening is you have all these athletes, and they're doing the same types of athletic movements that they're doing on grass, whereas in grass you're able to dig in, but when you lift off and when you're cutting and lifting off, it's a lot softer, and there's just so much less inertia that's required to be able to move in a fluid manner. So what turf is doing is it's basically a barrier that's not enabling you to make those same types of movements in a fluid way, and that little amount of extra friction can cause serious injuries, and that's why it happens.
Because basically, turf don't move and grass moves. That's why.
Exactly.
So
Turf don't
if
move. Turf don't move.
I tore my ligaments one time, but that was from a knee to the foot. But turf is really, really dangerous.
Yeah, man. In the chat, you're asking, am I a PT or a doctor? No. I was a soccer player my entire life and suffered many injuries, and saw many people suffer many injuries, and just basically spent way too much time in the training room.
Yo,
So
AK,
that's how I know all this stuff.
injuries you had so far?
What was that?
How much injuries you had from soccer? Like,
How many injuries? Oh my god.
yeah.
When I tore my
All of
ACL, it
them?
was after competitive.
Right? Because
When I tore my
broke
ACL, it
the
was after
collarbone
competitive
before,
play.
and I've torn my ligaments.
There's that. But
You torn your
I
ligament before?
had a lot. I dislocated my shoulder when I was young. I broke my nose and got a concussion, both off of motors. Just a lot of stuff. I actually didn't really have too much stuff going on with my knee when I was playing.
Yeah.
It was really
That,
towards the end,
that was
but
my thing.
I got a lot of stuff.
I remember one time I tore my ligament and
Anything
I
was
got to
groin, bro. Like I always had weird groin injuries, and it's
groin. Yeah,
funny
that's the.
because
Urkel,
if
remember I tell you about my running still, and my groin
yeah,
and my hamstring still pain after that.
bro, if I was playing in this era with how PTs and all of this stuff, and if we had the resources that we had back then, bro, I probably wouldn't have been as hurt. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I would just heal, not do like the strengthening stuff and all of that, and I'll just go back and play. If I was playing now, I would make sure that the strength stuff, like the weight training stuff, the stretching and all of that would be there. You know what I'm saying? Like now, bro, like when my kids were playing AAU and they had an injury, bro, I was sending them to the PT, and I was making sure that they were doing like the strength work and they were doing like the stretching and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, if you strength train and you do like the stretching and all of that, you're probably in a good shape in terms of avoiding re-injury. And the re-injury would murder, you know what I'm saying? Because your body just wasn't, conditioned properly. Even as like these kids or whatever. And I wouldn't even overtrain one sport. I would just be doing different sports. You know what I'm saying? Just to kind of keep your body balanced, in other words. That's how you prevent overuse.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's the athletes that are, you see them training in a different way.
Yeah.
Training in hyperextension through different ranges. A lot of the stuff that Steph does. Steph is very meticulous about training within a full range of motion and strengthening within a full range of motion. So you see him doing the knees over toes stuff, and you see him doing all these different things for flexibility that's helped him, that's behooved him over the years so much with his ankles and with protecting his knees and all these different things. And, we know what happened to him in 2016. He's very scientific about the way that he prepares himself physically and also in the things that he does in the strengthening efforts that he puts in that are not necessarily this, in a bulking fashion, because you've seen him, he's gained weight, but the strengthening that's in regards to injury prevention more so than anything else. So,
bro,
we have one of the upper echelon of scientific scientifically preparing yourself and your body in Dub Nation, and with Steph Curry. He's very, very meticulous about that.
So have you noticed like how Steph doesn't really get like knee injuries and all of that stuff?
Yeah, especially since 16, 17. Yeah.
Yes. So if somebody lands into his knees or whatever, that's fine, right? But by this time, bro, this is right around, when Kobe was it was peak in terms of, like the knee stuff that he was getting. Not to say that Kobe wasn't well conditioned, but, when you see guys have like tendonitis, this, that, and the other, it's really overuse. And that's saying, and a lot of times it's like compensation, right? So maybe your glutes are weak, or you haven't, like a lot of times when you have knee pain, I would say 8 times out of 10, when you have like knee pain, it's because your glutes are weak or your posterior is weak.
Urkel, patellar tendonitis is almost always guaranteed to be an effect of poor flexibility or
Yeah,
weakness in your hamstrings or quads.
100%.
It's almost always is an effect of that. There's because the concept of tendonitis itself, what it actually means and how it comes about, is that a tendon within a certain area is overcompensating for load that needs to be basically recuperated from soft tissue, whether
Yeah,
that be from a ligament or whether that be from a muscle. It's compensation for that happens naturally by need, in order to, because that load is redistributed when it's not properly taken by soft tissue. So when you talk about the knee, 100%, it's almost always the case, unless you have an injury where you pull an R9 for fuck's sake and you tear the damn thing, Urkel, and then, well, when it recovers, obviously there's so much inflammation around it that you end up getting tendonitis in it. You saw what happened to him. His fucking patellar tendon almost popped
yeah.
out, basically. So there's those freak injuries that are the outliers. But other
This
than
man
that,
came back from injury, right? Like months of rehab, recovery, and all of that. And I think he came back. I forget what the club was, and he comes back first game, steps, and I think it was in rainy conditions too. Comes back, bam, patella explodes. You know what I'm saying? So
unreal.
Yeah, bro. Like I don't know if that was bad luck or who knows.
So a lot of there's been a lot, and he's talked about it, Urkel, and there's been some studies and stuff that people have tried to do. It's difficult to medically study something after the fact, but a lot of some of the reason why there's the theories as to why what happened to him happened was that basically when in his PSV days, when he was in the Netherlands playing club there when he was young, so 17, 18, there what basically his like in the weirdest way, his body basically ended up growing too fast, and his basically his structure could not catch up to his muscular growth. And some people do theorize that at PSV they were giving him performance enhancing drugs, which caused some of these issues because it was so sudden and it was so significant. Because Urkel, if you remember him when he was a teenager, he was skinnier than Ronaldinho. He really was, right? And some of this stuff happened, after the fact, and a lot of people do think that it was, basically an effect of, how much his muscles grew relative to his frame. So there is some, we'll get into that, but there are some things that he hasn't even refuted in terms of, taking PEDs that may have affected that. So it's a possibility.
He hasn't refuted that?
He hasn't refuted that. No, he hasn't refuted that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you something, man. That man was an absolute monster. You know what I'm saying? Like,
bro, that could have not happened. And you play the way that he would play, and you were bound to do something to your damn knees. The way that dude would cut and dribble was like, shit. Yeah, PSV did something for sure. I'm telling you, man. There's a reason why those PSV days are looked into as closely as they were, in terms of why things happened to him that they did, because it was unnatural growth relative to his frame. It really was. Yeah, it's Nick. Yeah, that's true. They would call him Ronaldinho before his when he was younger. That's true. It means that. Yeah, it does. Yep.
Those were the days, man. Those PSV years, bro, like unreal. Because I remember when I was watching him at the '94 World Cup, and I was like, or not watching him, and then he was being talked about a lot, and then people were like, should he play? Should he not play? You know what I'm saying? And he ultimately never played. But you see, after the World Cup, bro, that man went on a tear for like 4 years where he just knocked Romario right off the fucking throne, bro. Like immediately.
Yeah.
He was just absolutely dominant after that point.
Yeah, his absolute prime was a prime that you could argue no 9 has ever reached. And
Yeah,
that's
I
a
agree
very
with that.
sound and really not very controversial argument, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do this. Let's cut this off because I've been here a while. So I think I'm gonna do spaces later. We'll see. It's Friday, so I might jump into something, but more likely than not, I'll do spaces tonight. So hey, Z, appreciate it, brother. So let's hop off of here, and I can't wait until next week. So I will tap in with y'all then.
Sounds good. Shit
Have a
show.
good day, everybody.
Peace, Circle.